thank you. On behalf of Clearfield County, welcome to our meeting for March 28th, 2023. Now that I have my glasses on. All right, first item of business, we need to approve the minutes of our previous meeting, March 14th, 2023. Unless there are changes or corrections, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the same.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion having been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor so signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the bills, Rob. There you go.
$4,787,903.11. Liquid fuels, $399.30. Hazmat, $240.23. 911, $11,899.69. CDBG, $38,019.75. Domestic relations, $10,388.49. And children and youth, $332,712.63. For a total of $5,181,563.20.
Okay, thank you, Rob. Unless there are questions about the presentation from the controller, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the bills as presented.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion having properly moved and seconded. All those in favor so signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Okay, folks, give us a second here to get this taken care of. Thank you. Thank you, Rob. All righty. Next item on the agenda are some personnel issues that we need to review. Under personnel changes and specifically new hires, we have a Department Clerk 2 in the Prothonotary Clerk of Courts Office effective March 22nd, 2023. Corrections Officer at the County Jail effective March 27th, 2023. Secretary at the Office of Magisterial District Judge Mahalik, effective March 27th, 2023, and a part-time secretary at the Office of Magisterial District Judge Neveling, effective April 4th, 2023. Nothing under transfers. Under separation and retirements, I have Corrections Officer at the Clearfield County Jail, effective March 7th, 2023, or actually three Corrections Officers at the Clearfield County Jail, one effective the 7th of March of 2023, one effective the 20th of March of 2023, and one effective the 24th of March 2023. We also have a Department Clerk 2 in the Prothonotary Clerk of Courts Office, also effective March 24th, 2023. And I have one request for intermittent leave under the Family Medical Leave Act for one of our employees beginning on or about March 1st, 2023. Are there any other changes that were in a motion that we approve the same?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion having been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor so signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Let me pull up my agenda again. All right. Next item is public comment. Is there anyone here for public comment this morning? Yes, sir. If you would.
Let me.
You got it? Yeah. Yes, sir. You're welcome to use the podium if you wish, and we would ask that you please identify yourself, sir, and if you can keep your comments to 5 minutes, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
My name's Larry Lumadou, and I live out in West Decatur, pretty close where Ike's Teepee is, out in that area. My wife, Barbara, is here with me as well. I'm here to ask the commissioners if they could give us any insights or help or direction in a couple of issues we're having in the area out there. And there's about three or four different things here, but they all relate to the same basic problem. Our landlines in that area have been so unreliable, probably for the last year or more. Always down. We'll be down for a week at a time, sometimes 10 days. And then when there's no landline service, there is no cell service in our area at all. So to use my cell service, when the landline's down, I have to travel clear up to the top of the hill to where the Lighthouse Church is to use my cell. So it's kind of a dangerous situation when that happens, because we're all getting, a lot of us in that area are getting older, and if we have a situation, we need to have some kind of a way to communicate out there. So that's the one thing. The internet goes along with that. The only available internet is wire. Since there's no cell service, there's no internet service that way either.
So is it DSL through Verizon?
It's DSL through Verizon. This morning I checked, the download speed is 0.75.
Yeah.
The upload speed is 0.35, which is horrible. I can't even send a picture over the internet. I used to be able to, till about, I'm going to say 2 years ago, they did away with this 3G, as I understand it, and now cell service is just non-existent. And it's not just for me. It's for the entire area out there. And when these landlines go down, which they have quite often, there's a lot of us that are infected, probably with about a 3-mile radius, I'm going to say, when they go down. We speak with a gentleman by the name of Leonardo. His last name is Albiza, and I've talked to him several times, and there's a lot of trees on our lines out there. There's some lines from Litz's Bridge to the TP, or up to Hemlock Road, that are actually laying on the ground with so many trees on them. Well, this Leonardo tells me that's the responsibility of the municipality, which I went to the Boggs Township meeting 2 weeks ago and discussed that with them, and they don't feel that's their responsibility. Right below my house, there's several lines with trees on them. Whether that's part of the problem, I don't know, but they're there, and they shouldn't be. Okay? And so, you know, we're looking for direction, some help on how we can get some cell service out there. That would certainly help the situation a lot. They took a tower down, I'm going to say a year ago, that was up by the lighthouse. There was a tower up on top of the hill. Well, it went down the road in front of my house on a trailer. They tore it down for some reason. And I think that's when most of our cell service that we sometimes could get disappeared. So basically that's why I'm here, is asking for direction. You know, is there any help that we can get? Is there any way we can get some cell service out that way?
Well, we don't always respond to public comment. So, but in this case, I have some questions, because you're actually bringing up some stuff I'm working on.
Okay, good.
What provider is this? Is this Verizon Wireless Cell?
It is Verizon. Now, I personally use TracFone.
Okay.
So I called Verizon complaining to them, and they wouldn't talk to me. They directed TracFone to call me, which they did, but there's nothing they can do, because
Okay.
Verizon is responsible for putting the towers up, or the repeaters, or whatever it is we need.
Have you checked with any other providers? And the only reason
Yes.
I say that is that this is one area where we do actually have some competition around here.
I have. I've checked with T-Mobile. I've checked with Cricket. That's the biggies in this area. Neither one of those provide service at our area. We actually had somebody come out from T-Mobile to check
it.
our spot, and no,
Okay.
it's dead, and it's a large area.
Well, and regarding the landline, and I'm just going to say it publicly, we've been fighting with Verizon about this in the Mahaffey area over the same exact problem. You can see it right beside the road. They've got trees on these lines. They're the whole way down. You can't, they tried to tell us that wasn't the problem. I know better than that. If you stretch a wire like that, you're going to break it.
Exactly.
Number one. Number two, then they came back with the exact same, that's not our problem, that's the municipality's problem. And that's garbage. That's never been that way. So,
That was in my when I contacted Verizon on your behalf.
Oh, okay, that was you.
And that was their response to
Yeah.
me for
So-
his problem.
we will be, I literally just saw this morning before the meeting. So we were going to talk, and I was going to put together a letter for Verizon anyway, because that's totally unacceptable.
It is.
Regarding the broadband, that's going to take longer because right now all you have is DSL. I can tell you that I have meetings set up. We're going to look for areas that are what I'll call high priority projects where there's a lot of people that aren't served in a particular area. Everybody's important, but it's easier to get these companies on board when there's not just one or two, where there's a group.
Yeah.
And I know where you live. I grew up along Clearfield Creek, so I know exactly where you're at.
Yeah.
And that's definitely that whole Boggs Township, West Decatur. There's a lot of those little areas there. So we're working on it. The broadband's going to take. I'm just going to tell you, it's going to take years because by the time we get a project and we get everybody on the same page and you get the permitting, it's a process. So that one's going to take longer. I'm hopeful. The landline thing, though, there's no excuse for that, and we're hopeful that we can get them to play ball. And if we have to talk to the legislature, we will because it's unacceptable.
Larry, first of all, I apologize. I think the last time I saw you, you didn't have quite as much facial hair, so that's why.
And it wasn't gray.
Yeah, I know the feeling, so forgive me. I think, would it be important that, I know we're trying to gather names and addresses. If you have not, can you get us?
I think we have his
Do we
address.
have-
I don't want to put his address necessarily on the
I don't
public
know.
record, but yes.
I don't either,
Yeah,
but I
well,
just wanna see it.
yes, I was going to ask you offline if we can have your address and I can
Yeah.
point to this.
Because we are, as Dave said, we're in the Happy area. I know there's a group of people in Walltown over by Grampian, and folks we're slowly but surely, sections of the county are coming into us where the service is very, very poor.
Yeah.
So, again, out of the public eye, if we can get us names and addresses, we certainly appreciate it. And Dave's right, it's good, we're working on it. We're going to make things better. It's just folks, we're asking folks to just please be patient. It's going to take us a while, other than the matter of lines.
She's in your area too.
Oh, do you? Okay. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
And I have little kids, so my fear is if it's an emergency, like, we're gonna have to, like, I
Yeah.
can't 911. So
Right.
So that's my fear with it, and then, Carrie's father.
Oh, yeah?
She was diagnosed, and she has a daycare, and if the internet goes out, there's always, there's a federal.
Well, that's the sort of thing we need to know. If there's businesses, like that's what they call sort of a crucial institution that's in an area, and that helps us with potentially getting funding. So, good information.
Even if they'd put it, I hear about these repeaters. I guess there was one put up out near Blue Ball someplace, I don't know.
Well,
But why can't they put a repeater up there at the lighthouse so it scans down over that hill?
and there's a lot of different ways. In the more remote areas, we'll be looking at a fixed wireless solution. But you're close enough to the main lines that I really feel like we ought to be able to get you a wired broadband solution. But I don't know that yet. But it's on. You guys are on my list for sure. That area.
I do know that at Ike's Teepee, there's 2 Verizon boxes. And they always blame mice for the wired problem. They say mice get in there. But the one box that comes from Clearfield, the FiOS, comes to it. So they take the FiOS out of that box into another box and they're sitting there where the wire, where the copper wire is.
I know they don't seem to want to
Why can't they just...
because they don't want to spend the money. I think. I mean, we're going to have more talks with them. I mean, the landline problem is a whole different kettle of fish.
But if we just get cell, that would certainly help. Then we wouldn't have a complaint.
Well, and I think that's part.
Use a cell.
I think, I hate to defend them, but I think that's part of the problem. They're getting less and less people using the landline, so they're not investing in the infrastructure. But then if you don't have the cell, then you're in a spot where you're stuck. And there aren't that many people in your position, but there's enough. I mean, there shouldn't be any, as far as I'm concerned. So it's a problem. We're working on it. We're going to work on it, and at least for me, thank you for coming in, because the more people that bring this up, the more we can pressure them.
I'm going back to the Boggs Township meeting next week too, because it's Leonardo is supposed to come there.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Maybe I should go to that. Okay.
That's Boggs Township, second Monday of the month.
See what I can do. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Yeah, thank you for bringing this to our attention. Infrastructure is incredibly important, and even though I get landlines are becoming a little more antiquated, it's vital that people have access
They still have
to.
to support the
Yeah,
infrastructure.
they still have to be able to support the infrastructure, and being able to access a landline in an emergency is critical. And so
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought this to our attention. Thank you very much.
You'd be surprised how many older folks, we have, our county has an older population. You would be surprised how many older folks still have landlines. So they're still very important to them and will be, I'm sure, for another decade or so. So. But thank,
They can.
The last I filed complaints previously, I had people from all over the country calling me from Verizon, and, that's none of it. You just call trying to close the case.
Yeah,
okay.
we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, thanks, Larry. And you and the missus are welcome to stay, but if you need to go, that's fine too. Okay, thank you. We're welcome. Sure. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, guys, I have nothing under old business. Under new business, we have some folks here with us today. We have a request to proclaim April as National Child Abuse Prevention Month, and the name I have is Kara McGarry as the spokesperson. Kara, would you like to take the podium and address the board, please?
So, my name is Kara McGarry, and I work for Children's Aid Society here in Clearfield County. And as you guys know, April is Child Abuse Prevention Month. So I have my staff, Amanda James, she's going to pass out blue ribbons to everybody. And I have blue ribbons for you guys up here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool.
So those can be worn the whole month of April. And April 4th is Turn PA Blue Day. So we are hoping that you guys will join us and wear blue on that day and help the kids. So our mission at Children's Aid Society, I am the manager of the Family Support Services. And we do a lot of prevention with the county. So we partner with Children's Aid all the time, every day. So we do our Triple T program, which turns positive parenting, which we all need that sometimes. Parents and teachers that work with the prenatal and the itty bitties, and our nurturing program, which teaches basic parenting skills to those in need. We are asking that we recognize April as National Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Thank you, Kara.
And you guys need this, right?
Thank you very much. And Kara, did you have anybody else with you here that would like to address the board, or? Okay, do you want to at least introduce the folks that are here with you today?
I just have Amanda with me.
Oh, okay, very good. All right, excellent. Well, we certainly do, Kara, it's our honor to hear you today. We certainly do recognize the important job that Children's Aid Society and other service providers do as far as fighting child abuse. Unfortunately, we have too much of it in this country nowadays, and we have too much of it in Clearfield County. We see the headlines like everybody else does. So we thank you for your efforts, and certainly it is our honor to consider the proclamation. Guys, anybody else want to speak before I read it?
I would like to just say that I really have to, Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month is critical. And it's so important to recognize that 100% of child abuse can be prevented. And utilizing the Triple P program and the other programs that are available throughout Clearfield County is essential in helping to decrease the number of child abusers. So thank you so much for what you do.
Okay. Well, Kara, thank you. And it's my honor today to read into the record a proclamation by the Clearfield County Commissioners to declare April 2023 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. The Children's Aid Society has been able to partner with Clearfield County in order to increase the efforts to prevent child abuse within our communities. Whereas child abuse and neglect is a complex and ongoing problem in our society affecting many children in Clearfield County. Every child is entitled to be loved, cared for, nurtured, feel secure, and to be free from verbal, sexual, emotional, and physical abuse and neglect. Whereas it is the responsibility of every adult who comes in contact with a child to protect that child's inalienable right to a safe, nurturing childhood. Whereas our communities are stronger when all citizens become aware of child maltreatment prevention and become involved in supporting parents. And whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships amongst families, social service agencies, schools, religious, civic organizations, law enforcement, the business community. Now, therefore, we, the Commissioners of Clearfield County, Pennsylvania, hereby proclaim April as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Clearfield County, and call upon all citizens, community agencies, faith groups, medical facilities, elected leaders, and businesses to increase their participation in efforts to support families, thereby preventing child abuse and strengthening the community in which we live. Thank you. I will entertain a motion that we approve the proclamation and declare April Child Abuse Prevention Month in Clearfield County.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion having properly moved and seconded. All those in favor so signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And you and your assistant would like to, certainly should have your picture taken with us, so.
Do you want us to put these on for your?
Sign one for Kara.
Oh, you need, yeah. Okay,
No,
thank
thank you
you.
for coming in. That is for the domestic relations office over in Du Bois right now. You guys can hear me, I'll talk. We've been in this lease since around 2005. This is a proposed 3-month extension at a cost of $1,569 per month. And that has been sent over from Director Redden and also sent to President and Judge Amerman. Do you want to see?
Yeah.
And it passed the muster with,
It came a couple weeks ago.
what is that one?
Okay.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay, currently scheduled to expire on May 31st, sure. Okay, I will, unless there are questions, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the.
Chairman, I believe.
Oh, I'm
Commissioner
sorry,
Tatum.
Mary, excuse me. I
All right.
didn't realize, I was hanging on to all the copies.
And I believe it came March 14th. If there's additional questions, we can table it as well. As I say, I know it came in a little after, but.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the 3-month extension on the lease with Developac for the domestic relations.
Three.
I'm sorry?
3 years.
3 years.
Yes.
3
it's-
years,
Yes, it's
okay.
set to expire May 31st of 2026.
He just said 3 months. I
I
want to
said-
make sure we
Oh,
didn't read that
my-
into the.
3 years.
Thank you, I heard 3 months, 3 years earlier, so, excuse me. Anyway, correcting that, I will entertain a motion that we approve the 3-year extension on the lease with Developac for domestic relations office in Du Bois.
So moved.
Thank you, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, motion and properly moved and seconded, all those in favor, so signify by stating aye.
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 No wonder. Okay. Anyway, next item is we're considering a copier lease agreements, with Doing Better Business for copiers to be used in the court admin office as well as magisterial district Judge Morris's office.
And both of these are very similar agreements. There are standard ones with Doing Better Business. They do include our appropriation addendum and our removal amendment on both of them. Both are for 4 years. The court administration is at $407.31 per month, and the magisterial district court is at $135.58 per month.
And I assume that the difference is because court admin just has such a high volume that
Yeah, so they have a monthly allotment of about 2,700 more, and then they're black and white after for copies. And also their machine has a little more functionality in it because of the use that it sees.
I figured.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the copier lease agreements with Doing Better Business for the uses in the two different offices. Mr. Swan.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion having properly moved and seconded. All those in favor so signify by stating aye.
Aye.
And continuing with the theme of all things copier, we have to consider a service contract with BMP Systems for the copier at our, with our Children Youth Services Department.
Yes, and this is a one-year agreement with BMP. There is a promotional rate through May 15th that would run at $475 per month, and then it would be $522.50. It actually provides for unlimited usage because of CYS and the amount of copying that they do on there. And that 1 year would be set to expire March 5th of 2024.
All right.
Thank you very much. Unless there's some questions, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the service contract with BMP Systems for the CYS contract.
I guess my only question, and it doesn't really matter, but is that a reimbursable expense? I would assume it is.
I believe so.
Okay.
Is there, oh, go ahead.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, so signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have a purchase of service agreement for our consideration of Community Specialist Corporation, trading and doing business as, the Academy.
This purchase of service agreement, it is one of our standard agreements. However, it would be retroactive from July 1st of 2022 through June 30th of 2023, which we've discussed. Sometimes when we have a provider come in midterm, we do it for the entire year. This provider, the Academy, is actually a new provider with CYS. In speaking with Director Smeal, it's my understanding there was a child with a difficult placement, and this is necessary to be able to properly place that child. In review of the PSA and the fees that are attached to it, they are in line, slightly lower in some occasions than some of our other providers. And she felt comfortable in speaking with them that they would be an appropriate fix. So the purchase of service agreement, like I said, though, is our standard agreement, so it's approved to its form. But they are a new provider, just for your information.
Okay, thank you. I'll entertain a motion that we approve the purchase of service agreement as explained by our solicitor.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion having properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, so signify by stating
Aye.
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 We also have for our consideration an addendum to the Pathways Adolescent Center purchase of service.
Back in October, we approved our standard purchase of service agreement with Pathways. We've used them for several years. Since then, Pathways has established a new program. They refer to it as a male shelter unit. And this addendum is simply being proposed to be attached to our purchase of service agreement should our CYS or juvenile probation need to use this facility, that it's included under that standard agreement.
Thank you. Is there a motion that we approve the addendum as explained?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion having properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, so signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next item we have for our consideration is the proposed wave 2 settlement of the national opioid lawsuit against the defendants Teva, Allergen, CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart. As the media, I'm sure, knows, Clearfield County has previously entered into a settlement, a national settlement with 9 other defendants that has resulted in the county, or will result in the county obtaining approximately $2.5 million over a 15-year period. That's our part of the national opioid lawsuits that have been in the media recently. There has been a second proposal suggested against these additional defendants that I've indicated. Pennsylvania is one of the states that is eligible to participate in that same settlement. The way the settlement would work, if accepted, at this point, it's just, if the board does so approve, Clearfield County will opt to participate in the settlement. There are some additional steps that need to be taken by the participating states as well as the defendants to be able to effectuate the settlement. Clearfield County as well as all other participating counties in Pennsylvania, will need to make a decision by the 18th of April. That's why we have it on the agenda. Thereafterward, if it passes that step, the participating states have until the 2nd of May to determine if they wish to participate in the settlement agreement. Thereafter, the defendant companies that are named have until the 18th of May to decide if they wish to participate. If all three groups do agree to participate, 70% of the funds will go to counties in Pennsylvania, and this, of course, will be mirrored in the other participating states. 15% will go to litigating counties, which would include Clearfield County, because we did file a suit of our own, not just we didn't just have the suit filed by the Attorney General on our behalf. In addition to the litigating counties, district attorneys and other municipal entities, I believe school districts and cities, things like that, would also participate. Finally, 15% of the funds would be under the control of the legislature. The amounts would stretch similar. This settlement, if agreed upon by all parties concerned, would work very much like the earlier one. The same Board of Trustees would manage the same. The payments by the defendants that would vary from defendant to defendant would stretch over a period of 6 to 15 years. For example, Walmart would be payments over a period of 6 years. Walgreens would be a period of 15 years. So it varies from defendant to defendant. There were two classifications of payments to be made. There are base payments. That is, those payments would be made under all circumstances. Clearfield County would stand to obtain $761,000 under that amount. If incentive payments are also done throughout that same period of time, Clearfield County's total would be $1.7 million over this period of time. The incentive payments are contingent upon the states getting a certain required number of municipal subdivisions to participate, and also that there be no litigation following the approval of the settlement. In other words, it's incumbent on the states participating to make sure some other county, after the settlement is reached, turns around and sues one or all of the defendants. In that case, and again, this is the part of the settlement that's formulaic, and I have a little bit of trouble understanding because math is not my forte, as the other two commissioners will tell you. But basically, the incentive is you get paid more if you settle, and you settle now. The participating subdivisions will realize more monies. I will note that D'Amico Law Offices, who have represented us in this matter, are recommending that we accept the settlement because it is their position that delaying it any longer will just result in more monies being spent at court costs, attorney's fees, associated costs, and that any settlement offers or proposals that would come later would just involve small amounts. So it's for Clearfield County's benefit. Speaking personally, and I will make this, then I'll turn the matter over to the board. I personally think we should participate in the settlement. Number one, because I do believe that the NICOs are correct, but number two, and more importantly, I think this board recognizes that despite some very valiant efforts on the part of men and women in law enforcement, the drug problem in Clearfield County has continued to grow over recent years and has not gotten better. We believe that a much more multifaceted approach has to be taken, particularly where you attack the cycle of addiction, because certainly the leaders and the intelligentsia of the folks that bring drugs and these poisons into our communities should go to jail and should go to jail for a long time. But unless you break the cycle of addiction with the people that are using these drugs, they're just going to continue to use, and incarcerating them is a very limited effectiveness. These monies, hopefully the larger figure with the incentives, will give Clearfield County for the first time some extraordinary resources to be able to use a lot of new tools to fight the drug problem. in the county, and such as a drug court, which is something that Clearfield County, the Board of Commissioners feels very strongly that Clearfield County needs, and we hope soon will be in place in Clearfield County. But it will allow us the opportunity to take many new approaches to fighting the drug problem, to change culture, which I know is a concern of Mr. Tatum's, and hopefully hopefully have a lot more tools to use to finally get this unfortunate problem under control. Anyway, I'll shut up. I probably spoke too much. Dave or Mary, do you wish to say anything?
Well, I mean, first of all, I agree with everything John said. And this is one of those things, we don't agree on everything, the three of us, but this is one thing that we've been really in lockstep about. We see the problem, we don't understand everything about the problem, I don't think anybody does, but we understand that what we've been doing just isn't working. And it's time to try something different. And I know, even though I have some differences with the DA, that he feels the same way. So there's a chance here, now that we have the funding, to really make a difference for people, but we just need to make sure all the players are on board. So,
And I agree with everything you guys have said about it. And back to that topic of culture, right? We've got to be able to shift the culture on how the response to drug addiction is and why people are getting addicted in the first place. And I think having the money available will help to fund those prevention programs or to fund those other tactics that can disrupt those cycles that we so vitally need.
Yep.
We recognize the barbarians are at the gate. We've got to start doing something. And the sooner we get these resources flowing into the county, the better. I think it will do so. Okay. Well, thank you very much, guys. I'll entertain a motion I guess it would be a motion that Clearfield County, or the chairman, the Board of Commissioners sign the participation documents such that we can participate in the settlement. Is that right, Heather?
Yes.
Okay.
So moved.
second.
Thank you. Motion has been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, so signify by saying
Aye.
Aye.
aye. Thanks, guys. And I did get the folks who were nationally in charge of settlement this morning sent me to DocuSign the stuff to sign. So I'll make sure, I'll sit down with Lisa and make sure I sign where I'm supposed to sign and we sign against every defendant. So, okay, thank you very much. Okay. Next item on the agenda, we have some announcements as far as some municipal infrastructure grant awards. Gentlemen, is that right? That's what it did.
They're here wondering what's,
Patiently waiting.
yes.
Yes, what the
So
heck-
your patience will be rewarded.
What the heck we're doing. So, okay, Dave, you.
Yeah, so we received a number of requests, and we decided to prioritize and then do them, the first 10, and then see where we stood with finances, and then hopefully do some more. So this is not necessarily the end of our awards, but these are the ones that we, in conjunction with Jody Brennan, who was incredibly important to this process and really helped us kind of boil down to, what's most important not only for the citizens, but what matches the county's hazard mitigation plans, and get everybody on the same page. So the short version is that we're going to award $1.375 million here to 10 different municipalities or authorities. And I'll just read down through them. We have copies here that everybody who wants one can take. Carthage Township is asking for money towards a bridge replacement. The bridge is very expensive. We are not able to cover the whole thing, but we're offering them $200,000, which we hope they'll be able to use as a grant match. And it should help strengthen any multimodal grant application or other grants that they look for. Brady Township needs a new digester tank at their sewage plant. We're offering them $50,000. Brady Township Troutville Water Association, they have a variety of needs, but what we decided after talking to them is that we're going to help them replace their water meters, because if we've learned anything through this process, it's that if you don't know where your water losses are, you don't really know anything about your water system, and I'm pretty sure you guys would agree with that. So the first thing we want to do is find out what's broken, and we want to help them do that. And so we're going to offer them $150,000 for their meters, and if there's anything left over, they can begin to use it towards line repair. Burnside Township has a bridge, Shepherd Lane Bridge. Same basic situation as Carthage. We're going to offer them $200,000 for grant matching purposes. Sandy Township is working on sewer line replacement. We're going to offer them $200,000 towards that. Clearfield Borough, storm line replacement, and also a variety of small water projects they discussed with us. There does need to be a little bit more discussion with them about exactly what projects those are, but in any case, we're offering them $200,000. Cooper Township, replace some leaking water lines, but most importantly, new meters, $150,000 for them as well. Kerwinsville Borough asked for some money towards stormwater drainage improvements, $100,000 for them. Girard Township needed a grinder pump replaced, and it didn't cost as much as some of the other things, so we're giving them $25,000, but I should note that unlike the other things, that is basically fully funding their request. So that's, don't take anything that we think less of Girard. They had a lower need. And Grampian Borough also wanted some drainage improvements on 6th Street, so we're offering them $100,000. The only other thing I want to say is, and Jody would want me to mention this, every one of these storm and sewer line replacement projects really coordinates well with the county's hazard mitigation plan. So that's part of why they were prioritized. And then these water projects, nothing's more important than having, clean, drinkable water. So we really, really wanted to prioritize those too. So that's what I got.
Yeah, and we want, just a couple things we did want to emphasize. And again, this is something Jody tried to make sure was very much in our thought process too. So I want to certainly give her the credit. In making these decisions, we just like I think we indicated in a press release we gave out a while ago, our focus was on long-term solutions. It wasn't on putting a Band-Aid on something or patching it temporarily. Secondly, also, as is the case with the Clearfield Bridge, the more expensive projects, if we awarded money to them, it was to enable them. Part of our thinking was to enable them to leverage other sources of funding. In other words, it would actually give them a little bit more power as far as giving extra monies out. Also, these are not the only reports we're looking at. We are going to continue to look at requests from other municipalities.
We have about 11 or 12 more to go through now that we've done these.
So these aren't the only ones we're going to be giving out. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Mary?
I think these are great awards. I know we've talked at length about them, and infrastructure is incredibly vital, especially drinking water, right? Like, people need drinking water, and they need to know that the water is being managed correctly, so we don't have huge water losses.
I guess the only other thing I want to say, and you can speak to this a little bit more, with the bridges, the money's available, but we're not going to just give them the money to use for whatever. If they need it for these grant matches, we'll obviously hold it and give it to them. But for the other things, it's mostly going to be, I believe, on a reimbursement basis. So they can, if you buy the things you need, show us the receipts, boom, you can have the money. So, and we've discussed this with most of these municipalities and associations, and everybody was very on board with this. I know, Heather, you've got a form that you've put together that's pretty straightforward.
So we do. We have an agreement similar to when we did the last round of grants that we provide to each entity that is being awarded, and those will be tailored, as you said. The bridge will have to be treated a little different. One, because of the amounts for the reimbursement, and second, just the timing of the projects. We have a tentative time frame on there to spend the money. So obviously the county knows if the money's not going to be used, we can award that somewhere else. But for the most part, yes, the water type projects, those will all be reimbursement and hopefully quick turnaround for all of the entities on there. And those agreements hopefully will be out within a couple of days to get the projects moving along. I know some are waiting on them for sure. So.
All right. Very good. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Just on behalf of the Cooper Township Municipal Authority, I'd like to thank you for your assistance in this project. We know the water meters are the cash registers for the and water meters have been a very difficult situation with their availability. Again, on behalf of the Cooper Authority, I thank you.
You're welcome. And I have to say that the meeting with you and then the meeting we had with Brady really formed it kind of shaped where we were going with this. So you really gave us good direction.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. And fellas, you're welcome to this. We don't have too much of the meeting left to go, but since you gave up so much time, you certainly can stay. Okay. The next item I have.
We need a motion.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. You're right. Is there a motion that we approve the grants of money to fund the infrastructure projects as as listed.
I will make the motion, and I believe I should probably authorize the solicitor to prepare the agreements. Yes, okay, so I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion having properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, so signify by stating aye.
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 Very good. Okay, thanks, guys. My next item on the agenda is a motion to grant Heather Clark, who is acting chief assessor, the authority as acting director of the Tax Claim Bureau to execute and deliver all deeds for the Tax Claim Bureau. Apparently, we haven't done that. We didn't realize that.
That's an oversight.
It is a complete oversight and the formality just to make sure that it's in place. And we're just coming around with our first round of deeds that she will need to sign, so we just want to make sure that's in place.
Do we need to do it retroactively, or is there any reason for that?
We haven't had, no, she hasn't
Okay.
signed any.
All right.
We're just getting ready to get those together, so we're okay.
Good.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you. Motion having been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, so signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Solicitors report.
Very briefly, we did receive an opinion on one of the election lawsuits. This was the one filed by the Republican National Committee. They were seeking to have an order that prevented the counties from helping voters make any corrections to their ballots, and we've talked about those, any minor errors, technical deficiencies on any mail-in ballots. And in typical fashion with these election suits, an order was not issued that gave any clarity on the issue. However, it simply said this is a county issue. So they did not feel the state court was the proper jurisdiction, that any of these suits need to go through the respective counties, that they would have jurisdiction, since under the statute, the counties have the authority to make the rules and regulations for the election. I believe all the election offices are prepared for possible county suits that are going to come from either side on these if this is there. So we did at least get an order, but again, nothing overly helpful at this point. And then just a very brief update. I believe it was last month, you approved, without county, the joint comprehensive plan. They did have the kickoff meeting on that. Commissioner Glass sat in on it. It was a very productive first meeting. I think Jody got a very great group together to represent Clearfield County. It started off with some ideas. That's about a 1-year time frame, again, but just to let you know, that kicked off and is moving.
More to come on that, because there's going to be focus groups announced.
Yeah. And I think the input from county residents, everything like that, that's really going to make a big difference in that study. So we're moving along as far as that's concerned. And that's all I
And
have.
thank you for being part of that, by the way. I think that's going to be good.
Thanks, Heather. Okay, anything else for the good of the order? If not, I'll entertain a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.